government has disbursed $1 billion to execute emergency road repairs across the island, with each member of parliament receiving $15 million to carry out projects on the most affected roads. So be on the lookout for activities such as road patching, drain and gully cleaning, as well as sanitization and beautification. While these works are being carried out, you can also play your part. Dispose household waste in designated disposal units, not in gullies or along riverbanks, and avoid throwing waste on the roadways as they clog drains. We want a clean and beautiful Jamaica. Let's all work to make it a reality.
Informing.
Jamaica today confirmed its first imported case of coronavirus.
Educating.
If you follow the recommended procedures, it is highly likely that you will not get the disease.
Going beyond to keep you informed and connected.
Welcome to Get the Fact.
Even through the pandemic. Helping you stay safe while we protect ourselves. Dependable. Impactful. Accurate.
This is your JIS News.
Credible. Trustworthy. Every day, everywhere. Serving our customers proudly.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, November 23. Jamaica will continue to quarantine international travelers as part of its measures to limit local impact of the COVID-19 global pandemic. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton made that assertion at his ministry's recent virtual press briefing. The decision is in spite of the new Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, recommendation that quarantine, sampling, and isolation of international travelers is no longer necessary. But Dr. Tufton says it is necessary for all measures to be taken in response to the virus, given its high reproductive rate, 4 to 14 days incubation period, and the lack of symptoms in some infected persons, as well as the high mortality rate and unavailability of an approved vaccine.
A comprehensive response strategy is therefore a must, and comprehensive meaning a holistic strategy, which includes case management, with the identification, isolation, testing, and clinical care of all cases, infection prevention and control measures, contact management that includes contact tracing, as well as quarantine.
He says Jamaica would be in a position to abandon the requirements for overseas travelers if it is guaranteed that the countries from where the visitors come have a built-in screening system, which prevents infected residents or those who are suspected of having the virus from traveling.
And what the conclusion is, based on the numbers, based on where we are, with the countries we interact with, is that there is no guarantee that those jurisdictions have those foolproof measures, and therefore we have to manage our own internal dynamics to maximize or minimize the risks that COVID, this highly contagious virus, poses.
Data from the Norman Manley International Airport shows that approximately 33,500 passengers are projected to arrive there in November and another 43,386 in December, including from countries with spikes and increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, Jamaicans are being urged to exercise caution during the Christmas period to help avoid a surge in COVID-19 cases, which could continue into January.
So if we get complacent, if we decide to practice in our traditional, cultural, customary form a Christmas of excursion and mixing and mingling, the reality is we could face a much greater risk of spread of the COVID virus.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie echoed the minister's sentiments, stressing that it is important that we do not overrun the health system's ability to cope with COVID cases.
But it is really up to us to ensure that we adhere to the restrictions that there are in terms of the mask wearing, the physical distancing, staying home if you are ill, and of course the quarantine period for those persons that are coming in.
In other health news, the Portfolio Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says he is awaiting the results of a comprehensive investigation ordered into the operations of the National Blood Transfusion Service. Minister Tufton ordered the probe amid reports of irregularities at the agency responsible for the collection, testing, and distribution of all blood and its byproducts across the island. Dr. Tufton says the report of an alleged process error is of great concern. He is, however, quick to assure the public that no contaminated blood product has been issued. And while reiterating the safety of the donation and receipt of blood products, the Health Minister is urging the public to make donating blood a priority this Christmas period. 887 students from 9 primary schools in Western Kingston have been provided with tablet computers as the government continues the distribution of devices under the Tablets in Schools program. During a ceremony at the Denhamtown Primary School on Friday, 118 tablets were handed over for students at that institution, 50 for students of St. Andrew Primary and 148 for St. Aloysius Primary. Another 120 were given to St. George's Girls Primary, 100 each to North Street Congregational and St. Anne's Primary, along with 80 going to Central Branch All Age, 50 to St. Albans Primary and Infant, and 21 to Shatola Melnathan Educational Center. Through e-Learning Jamaica, 40,000 tablets are being distributed to students in grades 4 to 6 who are on the Program of Advancement through Health and Education PATH. Minister of Education Fable Williams says efforts also continue to equip schools with internet access while the government works to improve the country's broadband infrastructure.
And there were 235 schools across Jamaica that had no internet connectivity. We're using the satellite technology. And I know within the last couple of weeks, 40 schools would have gotten their internet connectivity, and we're rolling out. We have 60 more to go in terms of the 100 that we've targeted.
She says discussions are underway with vendors for connectivity at the other schools. And finally, with amendments to the Independent Commission of Investigations (INDICOM) Act pending, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says the commission will not be given prosecutorial powers. The decision follows a Privy Council court ruling handed down in May of this year, which found that INDICOM had no power to arrest or prosecute police personnel. While speaking at a recent JIS think tank, Minister Chuck says that although INDICOM would not have prosecutorial powers, government was strengthening the prosecuting capacity of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP.
During the last 4 years as Minister of Justice, we have augmented and improved the Director of Public Prosecutions personnel. We increased the number of prosecutors by over 50%. And in doing so, they have maybe 60 and more prosecutors. So the effect of that is that the DPP is now capable of doing all these prosecutions, and therefore we are not going to give the power of prosecution to INDICOM.
Minister Chuck says there are a number of other areas to be amended in the law which will strengthen the investigative powers of INDICOM. He says the ministry intends to give INDICOM corporate status so that it can deal independently of the government, which he says will improve the administrative processes of the Commission. Minister Chuck has also expressed confidence that the INDICOM bill will be tabled in Parliament during the current fiscal year. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Now tell me, say the boy beat you again. Me tell you figure report it, you know. Who you afraid of?
Everybody go do my business and me no want that.
You see the new police station, them have some room where you can talk to the officer in a private.
Project Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct PROC is coming to your community. PROC will provide new or renovated police stations with up-to-date technology, increased and improved mobility, and a safe and efficient environment for both police and citizens.
Have you heard the good news? Jamaica's agriculture sector grew by 2% for the July to September quarter. That's thanks to hard-working players in the industry like Liz Levy. Take a look.
I got into farming because my hobby was gardening. I was nuts about plants, flowers. So it was kind of a natural area to look for when I was looking for something to do. I started in an area that didn't have water, so I was not able to irrigate. and with climate change, it made things really, really unpredictable, very risky, and just difficult. So I don't consider myself as having really started farming until I moved into this agro park, where I was able to irrigate and do things in an optimal way.
Amity All is approximately 2,400 acres. We have 22 investors, 5 of which are female. The soil is predominantly Sydenham clay, and the crops that do well here, we have the cucurbits. That would include pumpkins, sweet potatoes, zucchini, squash. Also a few tubers do very well, sweet potatoes and cassava. Those crops do very well. We also have a lot of farmers who have gone into the Scotch bonnet pepper, and they're also doing very well. Once we manage the water application with the type of soil that we have and give proper nutrition, these crops do very well.
Life has been a learning experience primarily because of the Sydenham clay, but I don't know if that's particular to this park. I think anywhere that you go, you have to learn to work with what you have. So it's been a learning experience, and but one good thing about it is that you see the rewards at the end of the day, because you're able to irrigate or fertigate, which is fertilizing through the irrigation system. So you're getting closer. I see myself inching closer and closer to the point where I'll get optimal yields, which is what every farmer wants. Everything that I produce goes to food processors. And the particular processor that I sell to, 90% of their output is exported. So I like to think that I'm a part of that whole chain that is earning foreign exchange for the country. I plant only hot peppers. I'm trying this year to try and stretch myself and learn other things. So I'm hoping on the boundaries I've created little areas where I'm going to do some experimentation. But for now, I'm only doing hot peppers and specifically Scotch bonnet. I've set myself the challenge of trying to master that, because of the 2 types that we grow here in Jamaica, that definitely is the most demanding one. So still going up the learning curve. I think the reason why I settled on peppers is because you can sell it. You don't have to scratch your head and wonder where you're going to sell it. Because most of the processors have back orders, export orders. And in fact, we've found ourselves in a situation in Jamaica where processors have to import pepper mash. So you will never ever have a problem selling your product. If you never went to farm school, if you don't really have experience, try to get into a situation where people are readily accessible to give you that encouragement, not just advice, technical advice, but also encouragement, because sometimes you may go through a little period where you feel, wow, is this really worth it? And that support is valuable. But that's one thing. In terms of practical advice, don't go anywhere without water. Just don't go anywhere without water. That's the mistake I made. And the second thing is try to farm reasonably close to where you live. Another mistake that I made, because how often you go to your farm, the hours you put in, it shows. The further away you live, you try and cut corners here and cut corners there, and it will show.
When you come to Amityville, there are a few things. There are things here that can help to foster your production. One, we have a team of stakeholders working together to cater to your needs. We have the RAD extension officers, we have the persons from NIC, we have the team from AIC. We also have a group of farmers that are willing to work together to help to move the produce not from the ground to the plate.
An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. What to do if you think you have been exposed or are experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Immediately call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. In addition, you should stay at home. Don't go to work, school, or any public place. Do not use public transport, and avoid visitors to your home. You may need to do this for up to 14 days to reduce the spread of the infection. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
As we observe Heart Month this November, we highlight a food that's rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which helps maintain a healthy heart. This food also aids brain function, decreases diabetes, and may prevent inflammation in the body. Find out more next.
We all love our protein. Chicken, beef, pork. But how often do we eat fish? Is it only at Easter time or when you're at the beach? Incorporating more fish into your diet can be very beneficial to your health. Compared to red meats and poultry, fish has far less calories and cholesterol.
It's the saturated fats and the trans fats that our bodies use to make cholesterol. And fish and seafood have very little saturated fat and trans fat. So in truth and in fact, that makes it a very healthy source of protein.
Fish also has iron, which is important for good reasoning and memory, iodine, which can prevent mental problems in children, and selenium, vitamins, and carotenoids, which are antioxidants. Who knew that we could get so many nutrients from fish? And that's not all. Incorporating fish into our diet can even reduce the chances of developing certain diseases.
Studies have in fact shown that people who have a higher intake of fish compared to other meat sources have less heart disease, they suffer from fewer mood disorders, and they have less cognitive decline with age, so less dementia.
This is due to omega-3 fatty acids, a nutrient that is only found in a few other food sources, such as walnuts and flax seeds. But oily fish, such as sardines, tuna, mackerel, salmon, and trout, are excellent sources of omega-3s and are readily available at your convenience in supermarkets. So we want to add fish into our diet. In what ways can we do this?
So escovitch fish is one of our favorites. Now the onions and the carrots and the vinegar and the pimento, that's all fine. But we don't want to do a lot of deep frying. Deep frying adds calories. Nothing like a nice steamed fish, a nice roast fish. And when you roast your fish, you can stuff it with wonderful vegetables like callaloo and so on. So we have to find other ways. Many of us have broilers as a part of our stove and we've never utilized it. We don't know how it's used. And that gives us, I think, the closest taste to fried without adding a lot of oil.
So we've got different styles of cooking the fish, but what about flavor? Jamaicans love adding salt, but fish is already salty. Wouldn't that be too much sodium?
If we utilize other things like lime and lemon juice and or fresh seasonings or scotch bonnet pepper or onions or scallion, we can make our fish flavorful without adding a lot of extra sodium.
That sounds really tasty, but watch out for bones. Make sure to debone fish before giving your children. Even if the fish is bought deboned, check for fine bones with your fingers. If you're not careful, you could end up with a medical emergency. The recommended serving size per week is only 8 to 9 ounces of fish, or 2 to 3 servings per week. With an array of health benefits and a variety of ways to cook it, don't miss out on this lifestyle choice. Make a positive impact on your health by adding more fish to your diet.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
Protecting the environment is a priority area for the government. That's why the state has initiated a tree planting program to stave off the effects of climate change. Take a look.
Climate change is real. We must address it in order to secure our future. Our children are depending on us.
And so the government has launched an initiative which will see a tree being planted for every Jamaican on the island. These 3 million trees will be planted over a 3-year period across the length and breadth of Jamaica land we love.
Planting trees, of course, is one of the ways in which Jamaica is taking deliberate, strategic, and decisive action to mitigate the effects of climate change.
The program will be managed by the Forestry Department with support from the European Union's Development Fund.
€1 million of the total amount will be specifically dedicated to reforestation and maintenance of degraded lands, with special attention to species that are indigenous to Jamaica.
Our aim is to improve the resilience of our coasts, hillsides, and plains, while also improving the beauty of our urban centers, major thoroughfares, parks, and the added effect of offsetting greenhouse gas emissions.
All the trees that we're planting over the next 3 years will be for nothing if we don't deal with the issue of the degradation of the forests. Ladies and gentlemen, if our forests are cut down without regard for sustainable forest management, we all know that our watersheds and our water supply challenges will worsen.
The 3 Million Trees initiative will focus on 3 main areas.
It would be one that protects our coast, including mangroves, one that does general forestation, one that includes urban forestation, and on the other side,
so we're going to have a national fruit tree planting program of 3 million fruit trees to be planted as well.
In addition to 1,000 Hope interns that will benefit under the program, employment opportunities will be provided for persons from communities adjacent to areas to be planted.
2 million timber seedlings will be planted on over 3,000 hectares of land managed by the Forestry Department. The department will distribute the remaining plants, a mixture of timber and ornamentals, to the public.
We want to get more of the private sector adopting hillsides. These are lands that we manage, that we want to just take charge and be responsible for the maintenance of all of that.
To ensure that the seedlings remain viable and transition into healthy forest, a mobile app using GPS technology is being finalized. This private-public sector partnership will see the monitoring and tracking of the plant's progress.
Because it's nice that we plant the trees today, we take a lot of pictures and everything, but what happened to those trees afterwards? So we really want everybody to ensure that the trees we plant today, we return to them, ensure that they are still growing, and check on the trees we planted last year.
We are taking a different approach with this project to ensure its success. Over the next 3 years, we will be rolling out different aspects of the initiative through public education campaigns focused on the preservation of the environment.
The challenge has been thrown out. Will you answer the call? Will you dedicate a portion of your land for planting trees? Will you adopt a hillside to stop landslides? Will you ensure that the trees you've planted are nurtured? We can do it. We should do it. We must do it.
It is hope that this action will ignite in every single Jamaican the understanding, the will and the commitment to play their part in securing Jamaica's environment and making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, do business, and retire in paradise.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
And that's all the time we have left on this station, but only for today. We return tomorrow with another information-packed program. We are available at your leisure online. There's our website, YouTube channel, and our pages on all the social media websites. We also have a mobile app that can be downloaded from your smartphone's app store. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I am Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.